求他想起故乡。
Deep in the mountains in the northwest of Sichuan province, there is a town famous for its military importance in history named Jinchuan. Every 1st and 15th day of the month in the lunar calendar, people gather together to hold a grand ceremony to offer sacrifices to the mountain god. They burn auspicious smoke and cast papers that represent good wishes. Diffusing smoke and falling paper dance between the mountains and the valleys. This is to import that the mountain god bring the best wishes to the peaceful land. This is from their belief and adoration in the mountain god. It is also a local custom that has been passed down over thousands of years.
We are sons of the mountain. Just like the mountains, we face everything with an open mind because they provide us with the resources we need. Because of this, our descendants live happy and healthy lives. We make a wish to the mountain god to ensure the safety of not just the locals, but also to the ones who come after us.
Surrounded by countless mountains, a small remote village lies on the side of one. With its back to the lofty Mount Shigu, it faces the winding Dadu River. Since the Tang and Song dynasties, Tibetans have been living here. Owing to its location on the Sichuan-Tibet Highway, the village has been an important pass for military purposes. This is also a beautiful land where Han and Tibetan cultures blend. Over 300 years ago, the Emperor Qianlong of the Qing dynasty won a major campaign in this village when he suppressed the rebellion of the chieftains in Great and Junior Jinchuan. The village was thus named Deshang. After the war, the soldiers settled down here and reclaimed the wasteland. The original De character was changed to mean morality, and to this day, Deshang village has been its name. Currently, a dozen ethnic groups live here, including the Tibetan, the Qiang, the Hui, the Han, and the Miao. Their ancestors were the Tibetans who have been living here for generations, the descendants of the troops stationed there, and immigrants who settled after the war. Over the past 100 years, the different ethnic groups living here have become related by marriage. There are over 300 families in the village from different ethnicities. In Deshang village, the Liu family is one of the largest clans. As recorded in their genealogy, during the late Qing dynasty and early Republic of China, their ancestors moved here from Guangdong. They reclaimed the wasteland, built houses, and married the locals. Today, they are in their 9th generation. They may have fully integrated into the life of the local Tibetans, but the descendants of the Liu family still treasure their genealogy. In it, their immigration has been recorded in great detail, and their family mottos that are to be strictly followed have been passed down.
This record is more than 200 years old. Look here, our ancestors said to revise the genealogy. Our ancestor, Liu Kaichi, wrote here, respect our ancestors, honor your seniors, value human relations, and distinguish wisdom. Regulations were thus set up and later recorded. The genealogy was made to respect our ancestors and to ask our descendants to value the relationships that they make throughout their lives. Wisdom is also necessary.
As written in the genealogy of the Liu family, to ensure their descendants retain the folk customs, as well as the lifestyle of the locals, their ancestors formulated a set of rules. Among them, the most important is the one about wealth and status.
Everyone in our clan shall never humiliate the poor, even though they're wealthy, shall never humiliate the humble, even though they're noble, shall never bully the weak, even though they're strong, shall never take revenge on others, even though they're angry, and shall never lose their morality, even if they're wealthy. It means that we mustn't look down on those of a lower financial status than us, just because we're richer. We mustn't bully the weak just because we're stronger than them, and we mustn't hurt others or swear revenge just because of a misunderstanding. Otherwise, the clan will be told about it, and they will be severely punished.
It seems like your ancestors gave importance to being tolerant of people.
Yes, of course. It is as we like to say, tongues may wag and teeth may bite, regardless of relation. If a disagreement occurs between two people, it must be solved in accordance with the family rules. That's why we were taught to integrate ourselves well into society.
It means that we are to treat enemies as benefactors. It's a saying from our elders.
Treating
Yes,
them as
that's right.
benefactors.
Yes, that's right.
Perhaps because they went through so many wars, the ancestors of Dashang village learned to be tolerant and forbearing. Even if there was contradiction and resentment, they would rather choose to forgive others and resolve conflicts with a great breadth of mind. To the villagers, this is the principle by which they behave themselves. It is also their greatest moral standard. Chi Yongbing spent his entire life learning about this. More than 10 years ago, he felt the wisdom from his ancestors through an experience he will never forget. Back in 1999, Chi Yongbing was 19 years old. One day, he was drinking with his friend Liu Xinghua. They got into an argument over a couplet. The two young friends were quarreling with each other when things spiraled out of control.
After the argument, he picked up a stone from the ground and hit me on the head. I did not realize that he had done it, only that I was bleeding. I was sent to a hospital for treatment. I slept for one night in the hospital, and when I woke up, I found that my right eye was blind.
The attack caused permanent blindness in Chi Yongbing's right eye. His life was never the same. His family went into debt to treat his eye. Liu Xinghua, the man who dealt the injury, left his hometown because he couldn't live with the shame.
He didn't have any money. At that time, the economy wasn't very developed yet. He was so scared that he decided to flee. He just ran away. But he hurt me, and he didn't give me any compensation for what he did to me. I was so angry at him for it. I lost one of my eyes in an instant. It affected me a lot in making friends and keeping a relationship. To be honest, I hated him. It's impossible for me not to.
An unexpected conflict turned these two young men from intimate friends into hated enemies. One of them ran away from home, becoming a wanderer, while the other one was physically and mentally hurt. Facing a rather delicate situation, Chi Yongbing's parents and the elders in his family found a way to handle the situation using the ancestors' wisdom. They advised Chi Yongbing to put himself in another man's shoes to learn forgiveness and tolerance instead of living in hatred.
We meet frequently. We don't bother with things that suddenly happen when they are done out of hatred. Everyone should settle their issues in peace and treat their enemies as benefactors instead of spreading more hatred. Now that our argument was settled, we are nicer to each other. We realize that we really have no reason to fight with each other. No reason at all.
The Chinese village is a community consisting of people familiar with each other. They understand and place their trust in one another. Based on that principle alone, the neighbors here live together peacefully. They have no reason to hate each other, even if they don't get along. Since ancient times, the villagers here have held the belief that a peaceful family will prosper and amiability will attract wealth. They treat their enemies as their benefactors, not worthy of their hatred. The way the elders see it, they don't requite evil with good for any kind of reward, but they do it to keep themselves from harboring hatred so they can live a happier life. After listening to his elders, Qi Yongbing felt very relieved. Though it was true that he suffered a crippling injury, the hatred festering in his heart would make him unhappy for the rest of his life. He was then able to understand what the elders had taught him.
His relatives told us about what he went through after he ran away from the village. He worked as a laborer to make money, and that he would come back once he had saved enough. We should always be kind and generous to other people. They deserve a chance to apologize. Everyone makes mistakes after all. But once someone does, we should understand them and be tolerant of their mistakes so that we'll be respected more.
With understanding and tolerance, Qi Yongbing was able to forgive his good friend. He was able to walk out of the shadow. He let go of the hatred that he had, and even went to Liu Xinghua's home to help his mother with farm work during the busy season.
When he saw me working in the field, he wanted to help. His hatred was gone. The resentment disappeared. The problem has been settled. He has no grudge. He won't have it forever.
They don't bear grudges because they have the sincerest kindness and understanding in their hearts. During those years, Liu Xinghua, who left his home, got to know how the villagers took care of his parents. He was grateful for the understanding and tolerance of his good friend. He was honest while working away from his home and saved money. 2 years later, Liu Xinghua returned to the village. He had not only paid back his debt, but also paid back the villagers and the good friend he hurt. Recently, Deshang village has been building a road. Liu Xinghua has donated over 7,000 yuan and is one of the villagers who has donated the most. It is his way of paying the villagers back.
My mother was left. I heard that Qi Yongbing often helped her with the farm work every day. He was the victim. I couldn't muster the will to face him. He was the victim, but he wasn't angry at all. So, what was I sulking for? We talked back and forth so we could resolve things. He doesn't care about it now, but I will always be indebted to him. I promise that I'll make it up to him.
December is the month to plant winter wheat. While Qi Yongbing was planting seeds, Liu Xinghua came to help him and his family for a special reason. Custom demands that after the planting of seeds, villagers should not only spread flour in the fields to pray for a successful year, but should also smear flour on each other for good fortune. Out in the fields, people drip with sweat, and yet are filled with joy and happiness. Affection among the populace runs strong. Even disasters cannot break their bonds. A smile is all this village needs. Thanks to the time-honored customs of the village, the two men who once hated each other found it in themselves to forgive each other and resume their friendship. This wisdom from the ancient village is a tradition passed down from generation to generation.
We are an agricultural nation living and working in peace, so we care about things like mutual aid, mutual support, and family bonding. If things were to escalate, such as when there is a contradiction or disagreement between us, we don't solve it by fighting or by trying to ruin each other's lives. Instead, we requite evil with good. If we don't choose to take revenge, we have done a good deed, and we will be rewarded for it. By doing this, we can closely see just how Chinese people tackle their problems. They're kind people, and they can find it in them to forgive others for what they did, no matter how dire.
In the eyes of the Chinese, being kind to others means being kind to oneself. Requite evil with good refers to having more understanding and tolerance for others. Even different ethnicities with different faiths can live together in peace. A heart of great virtue is the most esteemed honor a man can have. More than 600 years ago, there was a master of great virtue hailing from Jinchuan named Nyam Shesrab. He believed in Bonismo all his life and was an intelligent man full of wisdom. Legend says when he went to build a temple, a gang of bandits saw many treasures donated by pilgrims, and they rushed in to steal them.
During the prayer, he dealt with the bandits with a kind and generous heart. He said he didn't need the treasures, but thought that the bandits did. They thought that Nyam Shesrab was different from all the others they robbed before. So they all decided to give back all the treasure that they stole. His tolerance was able to change the hearts of even those who have been living a life of crime for a long time. It's a very inspirational story, really.
His behavior and tolerance influenced the bandits to change for the better. Things could have ended in disaster, but instead, it turned out to be an honorable deed. Later, he understood the Buddhist doctrines and achieved Buddhahood. He was acknowledged as the second Buddha of Bonismo. He had cultivated many erudite talents. People have built a memorial hall located at the foot of Mount Geda in memory of not only him, but also his dignified morality. The ancestors of Dashang village pass his story orally to their descendants, using it to educate them so they can learn from his truths and principles on how to behave oneself. So now, whenever there is conflict, villagers honor Nyam Shesrab by teaching their descendants to resolve it peacefully by requiting evil with good. Drolma is one of many who experienced the resolution of family hatred. In the old days, Drolma's family and the Shu family from the neighboring village were the most powerful families. When the two families clashed, the Shu family caused the death of Drolma's father. Even after the fight had ended, the two families held on to the grudge and never communicated with each other. Sometime around the 1950s, Drolma had realized that her sister and a young man from the Shu family had fallen in love.
Shu Guangchan taught us how to sing on Beijing's Golden Mountain. It goes the clear sound of flowing water, the bright blue sky. He would also teach us how to dance every night. Then the two of them started dating. But after that, his family suddenly stopped trying to talk to us because of our old fight.
The two were deeply in love, but could not go any further because of their family's hatred. They could not even talk to each other in public. In this small village, it was impossible for them to keep their feelings a secret. Soon, everyone knew. For the sake of the young couple who loved each other, Droma, an elder of the family, decided to hold a Longman talk with the Shu family after she discussed things with her husband.
Our two families hated each other, but I took all of my brothers and sisters, as well as the other family, to tell them that we would let go of the hatred, yes. I told them the past is the past. We're all relatives now. That there was no reason to fight and the problem was solved.
According to local rules, only venerable elders are allowed to sit in and participate in a Longman talk. During this talk, they are allowed to bring up whatever issues both parties have with each other. To resolve their issues, elders of both families have gathered around a bonfire to talk over a small jug of heated corn wine. It is tradition for the small jug to be drunk by the families one by one. This is known as spinning around in a Longman talk, where all problems can be solved.
We put a jar of alcohol in the middle. Everyone drank from the jar. Then we made a fire and began the Longman talk. We told stories and sang. We all felt happy together and became a family. The elderly may be angry, but the young will forget about it because they would have no idea. After the old issue was resolved, we were again happy families.
The way the villagers see it, vengeance has a way of rebounding, so they try to be good to each other. They are more than willing to let bygones be bygones, so their descendants can live happy lives. In the end, the Longman talk between the two families resolved the problems of the last generation. Both families agreed to the marriage and held a grand wedding. Now, Shu Guangchuan is an 81-year-old man. His wife passed away the year before last. The past events of the family are long gone, but this heartwarming story is the most unforgettable memory the old man has.
After we married, my mother-in-law was very nice to us. She was very welcoming towards us. She would often come to our home to help around the house. She would even come to babysit for us. Her son and son-in-law and all her brothers were nice to me. Our nephews and nieces respected us. They were such nice kids. Uncle, they would often say. They would even give me compliments. They were raised well.
Owing to the tolerance and trust between them, the villagers even treat their enemies as benefactors. For thousands of years, it is this simple wish that has brought long-lasting peace and quietude to this tiny village hidden in the mountains. Nowadays, there are no thefts and no arguments in Dashang village. The neighbors here are nice to each other. Elders and children alike are modest and courteous. Families and in-laws alike tolerate each other. In the village, most families refuse to break up. Many generations even choose to live together.
Resolve a feud instead of starting one, then all hatred will cease to exist. Endurance holds a family together. Enduring anger will free us from worries for a long time. Doing so is easy. If you curse me, I will forgive you with a smile. Everyone in this family is kind. No one causes trouble. No one gets divorces. All the grandchildren are nice. They respect their uncles and they love their aunts. We're all kind here, and we're all just one big happy family.
The tradition of requiting evil with good has brought a good reputation to the villagers, no matter where they are. To the villagers, resentment is not an excuse to blame or complain about others. The wisdom of their ancestors tells them to have an open mind, understand others and forgive them, and enlighten others so they will act correctly. The best result will thus be obtained.
It is true that There will always be conflict, and through these conflicts, people will make many enemies. But vengeance always has a way of rebounding upon oneself. Vengeance may go further. Both parties will get hurt, and nobody will benefit from anything. So if there's hatred between you and me, I'll choose to ignore that and instead requite evil with good. If everyone is tolerant and sympathetic, resentment will easily be resolved. So when speaking of requiting evil with good, we should also consider the virtues of our great cultural systems, such as kindness and courtesy. The elders should show love to their children, among other things, when it comes to family relationships. In this way, we civilians will have the capacity to forgive one another despite our differences, and we will be able to tolerate one another.
With vegetables in the field, grass will never grow. With kindness in the heart, evil will never show. This is an old saying in Dashang village. Requiting evil with good brings harmony. This is the upbringing the villagers have that allows them to get along. For thousands of years, they have been kind to everyone and everything. As far as they're concerned, only in this way will they honor their ancestors and set examples for their descendants. Night falls. Deep in the mountains, in the square of Dashang village, villagers light raging bonfires. They bring large jars of alcohol for everyone to share. For the villagers of Dashang village, the tradition of requiting good with evil teaches them to be tolerant and to have a kind and warm heart. They have been prosperous thus far. Every day deserves to be celebrated and enjoyed together. In the village square, they dance around the bonfire and sing out loud in celebration, in preparation for the coming spring.
谁家的渔船慢要将行，晚唱歌要清晰。谁家的灯笼悄悄挂起，点亮路人的归期。谁家的缸里静静收起，等待朝霞唤醒。谁家的屋脊黄沙林立，扶着游人离去，忘不掉故乡情，谁眼里山流离，纵情心。